1, 2, 3. Okay, we're in action. HDMI port replacement on a PlayStation 3. It's never been opened before. Obviously the tags are still intact, so one there, and one here and one here. So I'll be sort of replacing the HDMI port on it. Let's just crack on with this. So I'm doing the hard drive screw and the hard drive removal. Okay, and then I'll probably just peel off these security stickers. Just make sure you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Oh, poor little security tags. Oh, I feel so sorry for you guys. Now Sony will never have this back off the customer if it ever goes to the Sony, because the warranty stick has been opened. Oh, I feel so sorry. Right, during the process of HDMI replacement, I will be sort of refreshing the clearing out the fans and everything else, and refreshing the thermal paste. It is quite evident that the HDMI port is broke. If you can see it, yeah, you can just about see that the pins, some of the pins have come out from this side, and this piece is actually sort of broken. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you can see it for yourself. Here we go. Excellent. Let's sort of crack on with removing these screws. There. I would like to put my screws back in its original place rather than just sort of picking things out randomly, which I don't like to do. Lower the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that can go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave them to on another bench. Let's remove all the screws that's holding the PCB down. I will remove the bottom bit in a moment. Oops. Change the tip. Okay, let's undo the fan connector. I can. It's dusty. There's a screw here that needs to be removed, and there's another screw here. In order to do that, you're going to have to remove the bottom. I'll just praying it out from the side. It's already dusty, so I'm going to have to get my hoover before sort of reassembling the thing back together. Let's remove the power supply. Okay. Oof. This is dirty. This is friggin' dirty. Look at the state of that, mate. Oh, for God's sake. I didn't spot this before, but just... Let me see if I can get a close... Look at that. Flipping it. Jesus, man. Oh. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the hoover on now, just to try and get rid of all this gibberish. So, bear with me for a second. Why can't things be a little bit simpler and easy? I bet this, I don't know whether for the after replacing the HDMI port, if this is going to sort of turn on. Looking at the state of this, the fan's going to be in an absolute mess. So let's sort of clear out all this crap. Where's my brush? I have a little brush somewhere. I need to find that brush because without that I can't clean the fan. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. Clean enough, but I'm going to give it a proper clean once I've taken the unit completely apart. Let's crack on with the rest. So that's your power supply screws. Let's undo this connector from the side, which was there, which is this power supply, and there's a screw here, a hidden screw here, there, just about. I don't know if you can see it. Let me just sort of show it to you. There is a screw there, that one. So that needs to be undone before you can take the board out, and remember, don't forget to put it back on. Just bear with me, guys. Sorry guys, just had one too many interruption, so my apologies for that again. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hoover on and try and clear all that crap out. But before doing so, I need to sort of make sure that these thermal pads around here that don't drop. So I'm going to put them back on here, and then put this plate away, because there'll be a lot more movement on the PCB and the chances of dropping these little thermal pads are exceptionally high. So therefore I'm going to sort of eliminate the risk of losing them by sort of moving them into a safer location. Right, okay, so now the PCB's got to come out, but before doing so, let me just sort of make sure that these ribbons have been removed safely. That one, that's got to come out. The Wi-Fi antenna's got to remove from here. I hope you've got enough light to see what I'm doing actually. Is it dark, or I don't know what's going on? Very interesting. Let's see if I can get a bit more light. Which I doubt it very much, because there's enough light already, but for some reason it feels a bit dark. Is that better? I hope so. That's way too much light. Oh. Okay, that's been done, that's been done, that's been done. So the board should come out with ease. Which it does. Here we go, bingo. Very surprising, thermal paste hasn't hardened. Interesting, very interesting. So that effectively means that Sony are using fairly decent thermal paste. There's been a lot of complaint initially when that the thermal paste were absolutely rubbish. this GPU has suffered a lot of heat. You can see it around. So what I mean by that is, let me see if I can put this board somewhere without sort of damaging it or dropping it. See this area, that area of the heat sinks, it seems like stained, and that it's not stained, but if you know where I'm coming from, but that's purely because of the fact that I've suffered from a lot of heat. And when I do my job, I don't mess about. There is no messing about. Get it done right the first time. Customer's happy, you're happy, everybody's happy. And I almost lost this piece of paste. What I'm going to do is, before replacing the HDMI port, I'm going to open up take out the fan and give it a good clean. So when I'm putting it back together, things are a lot easier and quicker. So there's 3 screws here, one there, and one there, which I've already taken off, and that should sort of release the fan. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing anything else out. No, I'm not, I don't think so, but you see, that's what's in here. What's stopping this from coming off? What is stopping this fucker from coming off? Okay. Ah, the Wi-Fi. Let's see what this condition of the fan is. Interestingly, that's not too bad. I was expecting it to be absolutely friggin' black. So it's not too bad. But it's bad. Now I better drop most of those thermal pads. Oh, what do? Have I dropped for you, Semi? Oh, I haven't, no, they're still intact. Very good. Very good, you stay there, you mofos. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently just give this a little quick brush. Leave that there for a moment while I focus on this area. I'm going to take the fan out. Just let me just clear all this out. This video is going to be a bit longer than what it would normally take me to do a HDMI port change. There's 2 screws on the fan, one there and one here. Just so that I've got better access to the area where the fan is. That's the state of the fan. I don't know if you can see all the dirt, but that's as good as what we're going to get. Just make sure that these fins are clear. Yep, that's as good as we're going to get, so let's put this back. Gary's fan off. Just two screws go back in to hold the fan in place. Sorry, I don't like the odour that gets sort of released from the hoover, particularly when you're dusting all this crap. I just don't like it, so that's why I have to put the extractor fan on. Give the power supply a quick blast, and I'm going to move my hoover away. I don't want anything to do with the hoover. So I think that's okay. It's okay. I have to have a bit of a... So it's not just about HDMI port replacement. When it comes in here for any form of work, I spend my time getting it done right the first time. And time to get anything done right, you have to spend a fair amount of time. Right, while I've got the hoover, I'm going to give this a bit of a clean, while the tray gets clean. Fairly clean, that's all. And then I'll quickly have a brush over the motherboard. Okay, now the hoover can go back. That's been done, so that can stay on the floor. So is this, all this can go now for the moment. Stay focused on this, and obviously, oops, I think it'd be a good idea. I think it'd be an absolutely great idea to actually put this tray back on. that's clean enough. That's clean enough. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That's nice and clear. Let's put this crap back on. Okay. I'll switch off the fan very shortly, guys. Just wanted to sort of get rid of any. Okay, so that's okay. Go back. Don't want to leave it on the floor purely because of the fact that the thermal pads, I don't want to use any of the thermal pads. So, because I have an OCD of making sure that things are perfect or near perfect. So bear with me, let's just put this Uber away so I can create a bit more room in my Right, now moving on to the main part of the work is HDMI replacement. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll be sort of turning on my extractor fan for the fume extractor, I should say, and basically I mean that's quite a nasty damage. That the pins have actually just flipping it. I hope there's no rip pads at the moment, but wow, someone's been quite forceful. The funny thing is, on PlayStation 3 I didn't have as many HDMI port replacement as the PS4, so there's something fundamentally wrong here. There must be something that I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's something not right here, because people have been using PlayStation 3. I have been using PlayStation 3 for a long time, but I mean I just can't come to the term with the fact that why PlayStation 4s are suffering with a lot more HDMI port damage than, you know, PlayStation 3. You know, it's okay, it's good for me, for business, but realistically speaking, I just can't get my head around why that is the case. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is turn on my fume extractor, get it out through here. I'm going to have to move the camcorder for us, just bear with me for a sec. Just make sure that you're capturing what I'm doing. Very important, otherwise that will defeat the purpose of my video. Okay, so the next step is to sort of apply flux. I'm using Kimbo flux at the moment, nothing too fancy. Just applying a bit of flux where the joint are, and I hope I can see. Now this is a very specific solder wire, which is a low melt solder wire. The melting temperature on these are, I think, in case 140 degrees Celsius, and that will help me sort of remove this HDMI port with ease. Got to be careful with the surrounding components that I'm not desoldering anything, which I almost did. So what I'm going to do is follow my normal routine. As soon as I've done this, I'm going to mask around the area. Let's put loads of this solder on the joints. Wish I can show you guys what I'm doing, but okay, that's that. Make sure. The concerns are that there are tiny components around these areas, and you don't want to be sort of taking them off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a quick clean before applying the tape on. It's just a aluminium reflective tape. Okay, just so that it sits better. I will have to check this area because I think I've touched that component with my tip of my iron. So I'm going to have to check that after. Now, let's get some aluminium reflector tape, which is these. You can buy them from Selco in the UK. or you can find them on eBay. But Selco do sell them. It's quite a big one. I think it's about 40 or 60 metres, something like that. It's about, with VAT, I think it was about, I don't know, about £7, something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. Okay. So it fits nice and flushly like this, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to grab a cotton bud and press this down where my fingers can reach. I'm going to grab another tape. Just going to sort of cover some of the other stuffs. Because when I do apply heat, I don't want this stuff to be melting because the plastic. So that's something that you've got to be very careful with. You've got to be very, very careful. One thing I would do sort of possibly recommend is to pinch out the CMOS battery from here, the bottom there. I fucking hate when this happens. Bastard don't want to come out, and now it does. Oh, that's on the floor. Thought so. Okay, is that enough? Yeah. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it down. Sorry, upside down. I'm going to reflow these 4 joints here there. Okay. And that's a reflow. Sorry, what I meant by that is basically just apply a bit more low melting solder. Prior to that, I'm going to cover this, because this is where the Panasonic chip is. So I'm going to cover that to sort of make sure that this doesn't suffer from any form of heat. I'll probably put a bit piece of, just in case if I decide to sort of run the hot air station over it. I do have a infrared system which I've just bought the other day, and it arrived today. It's a dark, well, I wouldn't say dark infrared, but it's an infrared. Basically, it's a Tornado is called. So I would like to try it out and see how good it is, but obviously what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that Tornado on because it takes a bit of a time for it to heat up. So let's just sort of make sure that this is on. I mean, when I'm on about, it's this little thing here, this little thing with the infrared heater element there, and that's the station, and it's set at 9. If you can see it there, that's the one I'm going to use, just to try and see if things are a lot easier. Otherwise, it will be back to the hot air station again. So just make sure you can capture everything. How long has it been? 29 minutes. What the hell? Right, okay, what the hell? That's not right, okay, let's fucking crack on with this shit. Let's crack on with this shit, I can't be taking that long. Bearing in mind it wasn't just, you know, I've had to do a lot more work. This is an absolute nightmare to work with, I'm telling you that. How hard it is, that how thick the board is, that it won't even friggin' reflow the joints. There's nothing wrong with my soldering station. My soldering station is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm going to hold it there for a moment, okay? Come up here. Right now, I'm going to set my preheater. I'm going for the kill, hoping for the best, and hope that this new device what I bought does not turn out to be a great disappointment. So what I'm going to do now is the board here. Board is nice and level, so maybe the fact that I'll have to put this on. Let's warm up the board. Okay, let's turn this extractor on, and I'm going to have to turn a different extractor on now, which is going to get noisy, but you can't see what I'm doing, so let me bring over the camcorder here. This is where I am and what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a different extractor fan on. Is this warmed up yet? Okay, let's sort of put this on a little bit of a higher rate. Let's see if you can see that's been set at 20 and 10. And let's see what's happening now. I'm going to take it off the stand. It's not in a great condition, but we'll have to live with that for now. That's on the maximum heat output. Let's see how good it works. It apparently takes about 8 minutes to heat up. I mean, ideally I would literally do it with a hot air station and it'd be a lot quicker and easier, but I just want to try this out and see if it helps. What I should have done is use this stand instead. But never mind. It's red hot, as you can see there, but are we winning? I'm not so sure about that. think it's a bit of a disappointment, this crap, and I'm glad that I didn't buy it brand new, because this would have costed her quite a lot of money. Nope, there's no sign of solder becoming liquidous, and in all honesty, even with the hot air station I don't have to sort of hold this for that long, so maybe I'll switch onto my hot air station. But things like this does help on the basis of removing plastic connectors and things like that. It normally wouldn't burn it. If you use the hot air station to remove plastic connectors and things like that, it will burn it straight away. So I'm afraid this is a bit of a disappointment. For me, it is. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to switch on to my hot air station. So this can go and fuck itself. And I'm glad that I didn't pay the full retail price. I'm so glad that I didn't pay the full retail price on it for this. Okay, I'm going to switch back onto my usual traditional way of sorting things out, and that is my hot air station. Let's just sort of let's increase the temperature on the hot air station to about 400 degrees Celsius. And just kick ass. So please, in the name of God, don't buy that piece of shit. It's a tornado infrared system. That company, I did try to get a new hot air, sort of new element, and there's nothing showing up. The website is not coming up. Sort of yeah, all the solders are liquidous, but because of the thickness of the PCB, the HDMI port is not that easy to take off, unfortunately. So it's not easy. So finally it decided to come off. Okay, so let's get this soldering station and start removing the excessive solder. Okay. Minutes. You must be frigging joking me, right? I need to change the element, the tip for the soldering. This is the wrong tip. Come back on here, yeah. I'll be using a flat one, so it's a lot easier to sort of remove a process of the excessive soldering. It's easy. That's how it should have been, which is why I'll be able to. Excessive solder out from the PCB fully. If that is the case, then I'll have an alternative approach, which I doubt it very much, and already it's been too long, so I'm not going to take a fucking stupid amount of time trying to work on the fact that I need to take this out. So what's the way around it? I'll show you what the way around is, basically. Just bear with me, let me clean this off. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is grab a HDMI port first. V2 and B2, whatever it is, that's just absolutely just a sale pitch, that. So make sure that it is the same port, which there's no doubt about it, but it is. Let me see what the other one is like. Okay, so what I might do in this case is this V2, whatever it is, I'm not going to put that on. I'm going to go for like for like. What that means is the port that was already on it is the port I have here, and I'm going to put one of them on. And what I mean by that is this is pretty much an... No, it's not. Not the same port, is it? That's very interesting. Very interesting. I'm still going to use this though. This looks a bit similar. Right, so what's the tactic? The tactic is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply flux. Just on those pins. Reflow. Then with a bit of give me my space. You can see what I'm doing. So the idea is to sort of drop the HDMI port, because I could not sort of take all the solders out. It's just the sheer size of the board itself, you know, the thickness of the board, and the heat dissipation is just not sort of thing. So I'm wasting my time even trying to sort of think it. So the next stage would be is to get the heater back up, make sure that this is nearby, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these 4 pins liquidous and just drop that in basically. I'm hoping that this has reached its temperature. It's over a little bit. towards my way. The idea is to drop that off and just hold it very still. Okay. If you know where I'm coming from. Okay, that's been dropped in. Let's just make sure that it's nice and flat, which it is. Now the bit that you're going to miss out on is the fact that I'm going to turn everything off. I don't need all that. It's going under the microscope, so my apologies for that, but you're not going to be able to see that. Let's just sort of zoom out, and I just need to sort of resolder the pinouts for the thing, so I need to turn on my Metcal. Fume extractor, change the tip to drag soldering tip, fire it back on, grab my microscope, make sure that the lights are on, grab it down, and I'm afraid, my sincere apologies for this, but you're not going to be able to see the rest. And due to the lack of space, I am immensely struggling. I wish I could, I wish I had a bigger space. Okay, so the problem I have at the moment is that the HDMI port should have moved it towards the left. So now it's a bit of a cock and balls, because what's happened is that the pins are not lining up. Thank you very much for selling all this dodgy fucking HDMI port on the market. So that means I have to do that under microscope. So to do that, I need something to raise and also to try a bit of flux. I'm going to cover this with a little bit of a vortex so I don't burn the fucking HDMI port. Everything went perfectly fine, but this had to happen. What a friggin' coincidence. So I'm going to sort of put a bit of a layer of tape over that, just so that it's not melting the plastic during the process of moving the angle of this thing. So I've got to move it that way towards the left, which is going to be a bit of a pain on the back side, but it's got to get done. Now in order to do that, I might even move the I'm going to struggle actually here doing it here, so it's going to have to go back onto the hot plate because it needs to go back. My apologies, guys. Unfortunately, during the process of replacing the HDMI port, somehow I've managed to sort of bridge a joint between the two pins, and this was literally under the actual plastic side of the back of the HDMI its port itself, so I couldn't sort of physically see it under the microscope up until to a point where I had to sort of strip it down again and then sort of bend look at it in a different angle, and obviously it was quite evident that the bridge has taken place, and it was just between the two pins. But however, saying that, I mean, the unit is working. Excuse me. It was flashing blue, and then eventually it turned into white, but nothing was on the display. But as you can see, that the display of the PlayStation itself is working now, and I don't know what the pin is, so it's not my concern. What it came in for is it's been done, so I'll just power that off basically. So just the thing to look out for is mistakes can happen. And it's always a good idea to sort of basically inspect the pins in an angle where you can actually see the back side of the HDMI port itself. So let me just sort of give you an example here, so you can understand it a little bit better as to what went wrong. It'll save you a lot of time and effort, basically, if you can avoid the mistake that I literally made, which was unintentional, but it just happened. And I've never, to be dead honest with you, I've never ever sort of come across with an incident like this, but it just happened. So the point what I'm trying to make is, let me just sort of flip this thing over. Okay, the point what I'm trying to make is basically the solder bridging wasn't in the here on the tip where you can see the pins. Okay, but it was actually on the underside of the pin here. You can just about see by tilting the board, so just imagine that that's actually fitted onto the board on the PCB, and what you're doing is you're literally looking at it on this angle, and you can just about see the bridging basically. So all I've done is added a bit of flux, reflowed the joint, and the solder bridging just went away straight away, put the unit back together, and happy days, the unit powered up successfully. So that's something to sort of remember. And I'm going to do that every time. You know, I can't, I mean, to be dead honest with you, I do check this. I must have overlooked it this time around, because, you know, I've changed these, I've changed a handful of them. And not just only these, there's various other ports that I do, so I just can't understand why and how this has happened, but it just happened. So my apologies. Always check the pin. That's what I would suggest, and make sure that you know, that the solder pins aren't bridged. All I've done is just overlooked at it, and that's the reason why the whole cock and balls has happened basically. So but anyway, all the best. You take care, and speak to you in my next video. Bye for now. Bye bye.